Hey folks, welcome to Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. Thanks for joining us today. My friend and colleague Dr. Chris Reinhardt is our guest, and we're going to talk about some things associated with calf prices, preconditioning, animal health, even all the way to the carcass value, some of the applications we see in the feedlot. Thanks for joining us. I know you're going to enjoy this show.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Folks, Dr. Chris Reinhardt is a professor in animal science and industries here at Kansas State University, and he is our state feedlot specialist and is a good friend of mine and somebody that I bop up and down the road around Kansas and outside of Kansas with and do a lot of research, and so have a lot of respect and appreciation for what Dr. Reinhardt does for the beef industry and for what he does for the state of Kansas. And you know, there's a lot going on in this industry right now. It is exciting, exhilarating, anxiety. I mean, about any kind of adjective you can use to describe it has been that and more.
It's been a crazy, basically 18 months, 24 months. It sure has.
When I see calves going out, these 270 weight calves going out for $5 a pound in regional sale barns. I can remember a day when we paid less per pound for a steak. And this is just being weaned and mooing what is with these calf prices and cattle prices?
The way I summarize it, I summarize it all down to the world wants more of what we do and what we make. And so there is a pull through. It's a long, convoluted route from the consumer's plate and export markets all the way back to that 270-pound calf. But it is, for the most part, I think, being driven by global demand for beef. But then on I'll call it the local or the regional level, as you and I talked about previously, there's a ton of grass compared to just the past 3 years. There's grass we haven't had and seen for quite a while, and people are wanting to make good value out of that.
And I think it's interesting too that we have these shifts in where the droughts have occurred, and our friends in California are going through a severe drought now, and it wasn't. But when I look back at some of our closeouts from 2012 and 2013, where we were really going through the drought and we didn't have grass opportunities, and of course now when you look at the rains that have come through this High Plains region, whether it's southern High Plains or northern High Plains, we really got a lot of opportunities to place cattle out on grass. But then there also are empty holes in the feedlots.
There are empty spots in the feedlot, and they're pulling calves. We've got relatively cheap grain, and so everything is clicking right in the right place for the rancher right now.
You bet. And I think that's something that understanding is that feed yards still wind up being a margin business, and so good times and bad times for the beef industry or cattle prices in general, they're more of a flat part of the industry because they're going to buy them high and sell them high, or buy them low and sell them low, hopefully, or buy them low and sell them high. That's where we want to be, but it really is a good time for the rancher and the opportunity to cash in on some leaner years.
It's a really good time to have calves for sale.
Yep, and some cow-calf pairs and a bull and everything. But when we come back, we'll jump into some of the things about preconditioning and some of the pull-through marketing signals that we're seeing even in this up cattle market. You're watching Doc Talk. More after these messages.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Emily Sievert was raised in a small farming community in western Ohio and is a fourth-year student at the Ohio State University College of Veterinary Medicine. She studied bovine respiratory disease in beef feedlots and was also involved in a related telemedicine project. Upon graduation, Emily plans to focus on food animal medicine, pathology, and food safety.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Doc Talk, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk from the Beef Cattle Institute at Kansas State University. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, with the co-director of the Beef Cattle Institute with myself, Dr. Chris Reinhardt, and he's a professor over in the Animal Science Department, and we've had a good relationship between vet med and animal science, and that's really what the Beef Cattle Institute is about, is, you know, collaboration, and kind of like the real world. It isn't just a vet question or just a nutrition question.
That's the way we're going to get to the heart of all of these issues that affect the beef industry day after day.
I don't ever remember when I was in practice or when I was working in a cattle feeding operation that it was a unilateral or singular issue. It involved everybody on the premise to solve the issues that we need to get done. But one of the things that you know, you're sitting there with a group of calves out on your ranch, and you're going to get these record prices, and you decide, you know what, why am I going to monkey around with preconditioning? And so you take the point in time where do I precondition or do I not precondition, and how do we talk to people about doing the right thing even in this up cattle market?
Two things, Doc, is number one, the data screams loudly the value. I'll talk strictly in terms of animal health and the value of the animal performance-wise, carcass data-wise, of calves that don't get sick when they come to the feedlot or to the stocker operation. But then secondly, I've thought about that a lot the past couple of weeks is, do you want to market your calves this year, or do you want to start forging some long-term relationships? There's every chance that calf prices won't be continuing to skyrocket for the next 10 or 20 years. If we can help ranchers create a long-term program, a long-term animal health program, that's going to create value for the next owner of those calves. I think those are things that need to also go into the equation.
Absolutely. So let's jump into some of the health, and you know, being someone we're both on the participate on the feedlot side. When I'm paying record prices, the one thing that I don't want is excess death loss.
That is the most obvious loss in any operation.
Yeah. And we talk about it as it's just an economic signal. It's a lot more than that.
Some have said death is the ultimate breach of animal welfare.
And you know, we understand that we're going to have diseases. We have children that get sick. We have calves that are going to get sick. We're not going to prevent it. But we also understand what good husbandry brings to the table. And so, you know, what are some of the things, you know, we got a little bit here before we go to break. You know, if you were going to tell somebody in a nutshell, why should they precondition?
The performance that will be reaped by the next owner, all the way down to the carcass value, are abundant and really well documented.
Cool. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the perception of calf value. We're going to talk about how those calves perform in the feedlot, and then we'll eventually get to talking about that carcass and the value of the carcass feedback to you, the rancher. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. More after these messages.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Beringer Ingelheim Vetmedica, Inc.
Hello folks, this is Dr. Nels Lindberg with Animal Medical Center and Production Animal Consultation out of Great Bend, Kansas. Today's BQA tip of the day, we want to visit about castration of cattle. There are many tools that we need to castrate animals: scalpel blade, Newberry, Calicrate. We want to focus on being very clean and sanitizing our instruments as we are castrating, but more importantly, we want to visit about the age in which we are castrating these animals. We get so many animals that we're castrating 500 pounds, 900 pounds, very big animals. We want to be able to castrate these animals when they're babies or newborn, to where we're only using a scalpel blade and we have minimal effect on these animals, their life, pain, performance. They go on, do the proper things, and we don't have to castrate these animals when they're 500 pounds or 1,000 pounds. It's best for the animal. We want to do what's best for that calf. Thank you.
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why Doc Talk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan here. Be sure to join me in Wichita, Kansas, September 15th and 16th, as myself, Dr. Tom Knopfsinger, and Dr. Mike Apley are going to host Beef Today's Cowboy College. And we're going to talk about how to start cattle on feed and some of the new management techniques of getting calves started on feed. To register, go on the internet to www.beeftoday.com/Cowboy College. Get registered, and I'll see you in Wichita, Kansas, September 15th and 16th.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Doc Talk, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan back with Dr. Chris Reinhardt. We're from the Beef Cattle Institute at Kansas State University. And Chris, when we left, we were talking about preconditioning, the health, the performance, and things to that. And you and I have discussed, the difference between a low-risk calf and a high-risk calf generally has been used as a health indicator, a morbidity ranker, with the high-risk calves being the mismanaged cattle that come in that have the high spike in morbidity, and the low-risk cattle being the ones that were managed correctly, that have a lower, but the high risk and low risk doesn't necessarily just mean health, does it?
Let's tie it back to what you had mentioned previously about death loss. If I don't know how sick those calves are going to be, and I don't know how many are going to die, I've got huge risk on the economic side.
And so then we're talking about, the inability to forecast or predict on how those calves are going to feed, and inability to predict. There's more variability in the closeout.
Huge. And if feeders and stocker operators are going to be paying $1,200 and $1,500 for a single animal, They want to know that that animal is going to perform, stay alive, and hopefully lead to a profitable outcome.
Yeah, and you know, I think that we see some of the people out there, the bigger operations, will say, well, you know, we don't need to feed preconditioned calves. And so as the increase in the size of your operation goes up, and the more of these animals you buy, the more likelihood is you're going to hit that projection average for morbidity and mortality, and they do wind up being easier to project as a whole. But if you're feeding 1 pen, or 2 pens, or 3 pens, or maybe 1,000 head or 2,000 head, it can be tremendously devastating if you get the wrong mismanaged cattle coming into your operation.
Strike one and you're out. You mentioned some of these ranches in the high plains that have grass for the first time in 3 years. They're not going to be feeding 10 turns in a row. They kind of got one jag this summer to make it work, and they buy 1,500 head of calves that turn out to be, pardon my French, but junk. They may lose the whole enchilada.
Yep, and you know, when you start to think about some of these wrecks or things that we could get into, you know, it really does boil down to what sort of risk you, as someone who's buying the calves, is willing to take on those cattle.
That's exactly right. And so the amount of money and the amount of capital being invested in feeder cattle right now is historically high. And so all of our operators need a tremendous line of credit. They have to have some assurance that it's going to pay back and they're going to be in business next year.
Yep. So by definition, you know, we got about 30 seconds here before we have to go to break. But for definition, what's your definition of a properly managed or preconditioned calf?
Theoretically, if I could control the entire process, that calf would be weaned from its mother for a minimum of 30, but better 45 days, bunk broke to where we've taught it how to eat out of a bunk, a good blended ration out of a good feeding system, the ability to eat out of a mechanical watering device of some kind, and more importantly, and then have all the foundation vaccinations, at least 1 round of the virals, possibly the bacterials, and I'll let you comment on that. But basically, if we could do everything we do at the feedlot, only do it at the ranch for a minimum 45, maybe even 2 months, that calf is going to be ready to come to the feedlot and perform.
Prepare the calves. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. More after these messages.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses in rodeos, and my shoulders took such a beating, and that was probably the reason for having several previous surgeries on both shoulders. About a year ago, I decided that I didn't want to have another surgery. And so I contacted Kansas Regenerative Medicine, took their treatment process. It was relatively pain-free. Now, after 8 months, my shoulders have healed to the point where I think I'm probably 90 to 95% of normal. It takes a couple of months to start to see results with stem cell injections, but at about 3 to 3.5 months, I started to feel better. I started to have less pain and feel real progress. That continued to increase gradually until now at approximately 8 months. And I'm extremely pleased. I've got full range of motion. I can lift weights, I can throw, I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously.
Healthy cows start with the new Hired Hand automatic livestock sprayer, Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher. Get the new Hired Hand for yourself or become a distributor. Visit cowsprayer.com. The new Hired Hand makes healthy cows easy.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM. If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 550 AM on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the plains, we would like to join your management team.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson, Dr. Chris Reinhardt from Kansas State University and the Beef Cattle Institute. And before we jump into this next segment, you know, one of the questions that I always get is getting apples to apples and backgrounding versus preconditioning calves. Preconditioning is weaning those calves on the ranch of origin, getting them bunk broke, 30 to 45 days, proper vaccinations, castrations, dewormed, everything to prepare them to go to the next phase. Backgrounding is when you can buy any calf and you bring them into an operation and they're commingled off the ranch of origin and started. So just to get terminology, sometimes we mix precondition, have a preconditioning yard versus a backgrounding yard. That's really a backgrounding yard if it's off the ranch. But Chris, we got a couple minutes here. Let's talk about the effects of not preconditioning on carcass value, because a lot of people, you know, that's the end goal, is producing that good quality carcass.
Yeah, we're in the food business. We're not just in the cattle business.
And so talk to me a little bit about, if I don't precondition, if these calves do get sick, what am I doing to performance and inevitably that carcass?
Two things. There's really two kinds of sickness. There's the one kind, as you well know, that just never get better, and they don't eat well, they don't gain well, and they wind up, I'll call them, going to an alternative marketing pathway. There's the more common form of disease is simply where calves come down with some respiratory disease for a period of time, and what we've learned over the past few years is for every day that calf is sick, he is not competing with his pen mates. As he gets over that disease and battles back, he does perform normally, in quotes, but he'll always be behind. And so we're going to have to feed that calf longer if we have that opportunity to attain that same carcass endpoint.
So in other words, if a calf's sick or not consuming feed where they should be because of clinical illness for 21 days, they could be 21 pounds
Easily.
Or 30 pounds behind the cohort that was healthy.
Exactly.
And so, but once they get over that, they can perform and gain and lay down marbling and things of that nature. But in that time when they have that depressed intake from being sick, that's when we have that stall or that pause. They hit the pause button on growth.
And they hit the pause button, unfortunately, on marbling deposition.
Gotcha. So increased sickness equals increased days on feed, and that does what to the carcass?
If I have the opportunity to feed those calves longer, I can get them to grade acceptably. Unfortunately, it costs me another 20 or 30 days on feed.
Gotcha. And that's going to cost you feed, interest, and many different things.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for being on the show today. As always, it was great to have you.
Great topic. Thanks for the invite, Doc.
Great. Folks, Dr. Chris Reinhardt. And if you want to know more about what Chris and I do here at Kansas State University, you can find us on the web at www.vet.ksu.edu. Remember, always work with your local practitioner. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agamandkansas.com.